To all of you. It's wonderful to see so many of you joining us for this very important webinar in Sowing Hope for the Planet, realizing the vision of Laudato Si. My name is Sister Sheila Kinsey. I'm a Franciscan sister, and I am the campaign coordinator of Sowing Hope for the Planet. And many of you have joined us for a number of the sessions, but now we're beginning to look at how can we begin to have a formation process as we move ahead in realizing this vision. So I'd like to begin by sharing my screen as we proceed with the session. So here we are in the field, in nature, looking at not only our creation, but all of us that are involved in one way or another, making Laudato Si an actuality wherever we are. And Pope Francis has really given us an incentive to move us forward with this special anniversary year. And I say we use this as guidance as well as celebration, because we know in the sense of being interconnected with one another, that many of us are still struggling with the COVID, and we need to be with one another in that suffering space, even as we find ways to move forward together in hope. Because we know everything is interrelated, and today's problems call for a vision capable of taking them into account in every aspect of the global crisis. But as we do it, we need to be able to do this together, dream together as we move ahead on our journey. And we take seriously the message from Fratelli Tutti that really is calling us and having us realize that no one can face life in isolation. We need to be a community that supports and helps one another, that we can help one another by looking ahead. And then it really is important for us to dream together. And that's part of what we're trying to do now, is find a way to dream together in this session. And in 2019, there was a meeting with the UISG Superior Generals. It was a plenary meeting in which that dream has a vision. And this is what was accepted by acclamation by the major superiors at that meeting, but continued to be shared with other major superiors as well. And this is the vision that we continue to hold as we move forward. We commit ourselves to both personal and communal conversion. And we wish to move forward together in an orchestrated and coordinated response in listening to the cry of the earth and the cry of the poor, as we go forth as instruments of hope in the heart of the world. And we have continued to share this message with our brothers from the USG, and they are on an individual basis joining us in this plan of moving forward. So we are together as religious in this movement. And as we realized over the months that we needed to come to a formative development, and this also was in communication with the Ladatosi for promoting integral human development, Global Catholic Climate Movement, and other organizations that have been involved in this global plan of rolling out Laudato Si. And so we are here wanting to help congregations as you begin to transition from some of the planning that you have done to look at how this can be a part of the rollout plan. And we want to involve this within the leadership of the dicastery so we have constant communication, so we know what each of us are doing. And that religious in this plan is one of the 7 groups. And we're asked to be prophetic in this whole process. As we exercise our leadership, we learn from one another, and we also share what we are doing. So as we interact with other groups, there is now formed a steering board specifically for Laudato Si. And that's where the 7 group participants come together and share their ideas, again, with the leadership of the dicastery, Father Josh, of course, being key in all of this. What we have used is the structure of the UISG constellations. And that's very important because this is according to the regions and also according to languages. And it's a way of really keeping in touch with the commitments that are taking place in all of the areas, as well as looking at realistically what are the needs of the poor and the needs of the environment. So we have put in place a structure to help us move forward. It's a way of managing what are our efforts, what are these efforts together. So for this day, our program is full, but I think you will find it very worthwhile. Soon we will begin with the prayer for this session. We will have a representative from one of the constellations, the Middle East, sharing what's happening there in Lebanon. Father Josh will continue to develop the vision for us for the Ladatosi platform, then bringing in Reba Elliott, who's been working very hard in trying to help with the social media, bringing the groups together. And then our brother Alberto will be talking about what we are developing for the religious group. How can we move together with our congregations based on the wonderful charisms that each of us shares? So in this informative webinar, we'll look at the experience of the constellations, the vision of Laudato Action Platform, and the religious involvement in the action platform. And with this, then, I would like to invite Father Amado Pickardell, a Redemptorist, and also the Executive Co-Secretary of the Commission of UISG, my partner here in the Secretariat. He's a poet and a theologian and an environmentalist and a peace activist, promoter of human rights. And we have asked him to lead us now in prayer for this session. Father Amado, please.
Okay, wait a minute. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. Praise be you, O Lord, in the land from where you called our father in faith, Abraham, to leave behind. In the land from where you liberated your people from oppression. In the land which you promised them and their descendants, the land where your Son was made flesh, suffered, died, and rose again. These lands continue. These lands continue to be barren and hot, where the settlers are fast disappearing and where blood is continually spilled. Pope Francis invites us to hear the cry of the earth and the cry of the poor, to act so as to make a reality the dream he shares with us in Laudato Si, the dream proclaimed by the prophet Isaiah. But you will rejoice in the Lord and glory in the Holy One of Israel. The poor and the needy search for water, but there is none. Their tongues are parched with thirst. But I, the Lord, will answer them. I, the God of Israel, will not forsake them. I will make rivers flow on barren heights and springs within the valleys. I will turn the desert into pools of water and the parched ground into springs. I will put in the desert the cedar and the acacia, the myrtle and the olive. I will set junipers in the wasteland, the fir and the cypress together, so that people may see and know, may consider and understand that the hand of the Lord has done this, the Holy One of Israel has created. the word of the Lord. Lord, we pray for those who are striving to realize the vision of Ladatosi, which echoes the vision of the prophet Isaiah. May they remain full of courage, patience, and hope amidst the pandemic, the economic crisis, as well as the sectarian division and violent conflict, which they find themselves in. May they always follow the path of peace and nonviolence as they fulfill their mission. And we ask this through Christ, our Savior. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you, Father Amato, for so movingly putting us in this place of reception in prayer, putting our spirituality, needing to have it be in practice, and so bringing us into the place of Lebanon, of the Middle East, our own world situation, and so that we can be ready to try to do what is ours to do to meet the challenges of this world. So with this, I would like to be able to present our next speaker. I'll share my screen here. Is Sister Naza. Oops. She's the Superior General of the Congregations of the Sister Vatanines, and she's a delegate of the Middle East Constellation 8. She brings a wealth of experience and a very positive attitude to this place that is in need of such a compassionate presence. She has a rich background in communication and in education as an administrator, teacher formator, curriculum development, and has served on a number of commissions, sharing her expertise. And this includes dealing with children who have school difficulties and are special needs. So it's a pleasure for us to invite her to share the experiences of realizing Ladatosi in Lebanon as one of the four places, one of the four countries, in fact, of the constellation there in the Middle East. So Sister Nazda El Akore, please, we welcome you today. Thank you.
Merci, Sœur Sheila. Merci pour votre présentation. Merci.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Sister Sheila, for your presentation. And thank you because you have focused on Lebanon, and also for giving me this experience and the responsibility. But I do that with a lot of enthusiasm and with a wholeheartedly. Thank you.
Alors, je vais parler de notre expérience, de l'expérience de Laudato.
I will share our experience of the Ladatosi and the constellation of the Middle East constellation number 8, in particular in Lebanon. The whole planet is suffering due to a number of exploitation by man. And Laudato Pope Francis expresses himself in favor of a sustainable development, and is calling us to modify our relations with the nature, so to move from dominating the world to become fraternal and to praise. And he also invites us to an ecological, spiritual, and cultural conversion, as well as an individual and community conversion, and to give priority to the poor. In the light of this call, can we remain passive? Certainly not. We are called to act. Constellation number 8, I'm going to present this with the countries. I'm going to do a simple presentation of the Middle East. I will tell you about the history of the Middle East, and I will also mention the different actions that we have envisaged. Constellation number 8 is composed by 8 countries: Iraq, Egypt, the Holy Land, and Lebanon. You can see Lebanon is in green.
Ma sœur, je pense que la présentation ne
un
marche
instant,
pas.
un instant.
Just a second, just a moment of patience, and I will manage this. I think I have to just, so the 4 countries that I have mentioned: Iraq, Egypt, the Holy Land, and Lebanon. So often the region of the Middle East has been invaded for some years by wars, causing violence and economic and political security crisis, and witnesses a major migration and displacement of the population, especially the Christians. Because in Lebanon, we have 34% of Christians. In Iraq, only 2%. Egypt, 18% are Christians, and the Holy Land, 5% are Christians. It's a true exodus, and which has been going on for some time. Does it not come back to the lack of freedom in these countries, freedom to act, to think, religious freedom? The war has aggravated the movement, but it is not the only reason. I sincerely would have truly enjoyed being able to present the data of all of the countries, but unfortunately I have not received data from the other countries, and this is why I will limit my presentation on the actions in Lebanon, besides the difficulty that our country is experiencing. Just a short overview on the history of Lebanon. The glory of Lebanon will come to you to glorify the place where I stand. Isaiah 60, and it is the flag, and it's also the map of Lebanon. So this is a small country with a surface of 10,452 square kilometers, a population of 4.5 million, and inhabited since ancient times. Its mountains, plains, and cities combine to produce Lebanese identity, social ability, and tolerance, entrepreneurship, and individualism. Opening and welcoming are all traits of this country. 4 sites are part of the UNESCO heritage: Baalbek, Anjar, Byblos, here, and the mountain of the Cedars, and the holy valley of Kadisha, where we have our convent. And we of the Sisters Antonin, we live in this home, and our mission is downstream. So our country is more than a country. Lebanon is a community of people, is a gathering of people. After the war, the war in Syria once again started, and we have paid the price because we are neighboring countries. Since 2012, we have 1.5 million Syrians, 400,000 Palestinians and Israel are also there. And 2019, the country plunders in a very serious economic crisis. We have inflation, the devaluation of the Lebanese lira, which lost basically 80% of its value, unemployment, and the COVID. And as of August the 4th, 2020, the explosion at the harbor of Beirut has been really a turning point, historical turning point for the country. To date, the inquiry is diluted. Nothing has been told. The government has been without a government, so is headless, has been headless for the last 5 months. There's pure anarchy, and the Patriarch Rai has called for neutrality of Lebanon and also to be distant from all the conflicts and the political wars in the region. The 24th of December 2020, the Pope Francis has expressed compassion for the Lebanese and promised to visit Lebanon in the near future. 4 popes were interested by the country. It's a very small country, but it's of a great importance in this region. So what are the actions which have been implemented in the light of Laudato Si? Well, I would like to remind that Catholic schools in Lebanon have an 80%, educate 18% of Lebanese students, among which 32% are Muslim students, and Muslims are made according to the locality. That is, in the south, we have 95% of our students, while in the mountain of Lebanon, only 2%. The first activity is the Laudato Si, Laudato Si Day, which took place in 2016. Normally, English-speaking and Catholic schools organized this traditional meeting. Let's say in 2016, Laudato Si became the main event. So the idea was to make 1,000 students familiar with the Laudato Si. So we have done the prayer, presentation of the encyclical letter, and workshops. And at the end, we also basically all engaged, students, headmasters, and all of the schools were involved. At the same time, we have signed some pamphlets. So we have the General Secretary of Catholic Schools is signing together with the other representatives the recommendations, and students in turn also have signed their recommendations. So the students believe in man and express their faith before the Lord. They also believe in the earth with all the resources, so the resources given by God as a gift. So headmasters of the schools have also expressed their engagement to provide all the means. How? Through formation, excursions, competition, reforestation, competition, scientific innovation, creativity, and much more. The headmasters of schools and students committed themselves to assist each other in achieving the goals of Laudato Si and to implement declarations and recommendations taken. The second activity which was developed is My Earth, My Mother, My Identity. It is a theme that we truly hold in our heart and which has been developed by primary schools with the goal of working on the love for the earth, which is our mother identity, which are specific activities which were of great importance for Lebanese because people traveled from their locations, from their villages, and we have worked on the origin of the family following a genealogical tree. The students also had to know who was the patron saint of the village, the remains, historical and touristic sites, and also the let's say the eminent representatives such as writers, artists, clergy, or politicians. They have visited the village assigned, meeting the mayor. They had an interview a meeting, and they had to summarize this meeting. They visited the grandparents' house, and they basically enjoyed and promoted the traditional healthy and varied cuisine, local cuisine. The third activity was basically reforestation. With the war in Lebanon, nature is abused, is hurt, damaged due to the bad behavior and with the complicity of corrupt governments. They were hiding economic and demographic interests. There's been a true anarchy in the construction of all the buildings. They have basically eliminated urban planning. They have basically burnt woods for massive tree cutting in order to build up buildings. There's a lot of industrial waste, a lot of waste in forests, seas and rivers are highly polluted. Students, in the light of this situation, have instead planned to plant trees around their schools or where fires had taken place. And in collaboration with NGOs, UNESCO, municipalities, the Department of Agriculture, parent committees, and alumni. The fourth project was an educational project of great importance, which is the mountain road, Eli Jabal. So joining what is useful to what is leisure. The idea was to propose to the last year, end of primary school, so class 5. The idea was to show to students several Lebanese mountains, visit them in order to, explore them in order to discover and enjoy the beauty of nature, and particularly to visit many of those regions which are unknown. They are basically unknown because of the political conflicts and also conflicts between religious communities. All of these research have been part of the pedagogical project of the various subjects like history, statistical, geography, and other disciplines, arts. The fifth project was basically cleaning up the beach and the environing areas. So in groups of 4, the students aged between 13 and 18, they went out on the beach to pick up, to sort rubbish all along the Lebanese coast, always respecting nature and to have a clean environment. Project number 6 implied the selecting, sorting, and recycling. So basically plastic, paper, newspaper, carton boards, lids, taps. We had a lot of objects which were then reused and recycled in arts. And this is, for example, a bottle, an old bottle, which were picked up and which has been decorated and recycled. It has been decorated with a recycling remains an object. This is another bottle, and this is a book which has been transformed in a vase, more or less. Project number 7. So the 7th project is in the agricultural field. People after the war were attracted by city life. They completely ignored their villages. They left and abandoned their villages, and land became arid. However, in the light of the economic situation with the unemployment and the COVID, a lot of people were encouraged to go back, to return to their villages. And that was when social centers have distributed for free seeds, seedlings to landowners, encouraging them to work the land and grow. And fortunately, people who have been very encouraged to basically the yields were also plentiful, and people very much encouraged to repeat this experience, and they were able to buy the crops at a reasonable price. So finally, countryside and villages are coming back to life, and also the economic cycle is improving. An additional activity was in the field of human development. Item number 1 is formation. Formation, which has been done in collaboration with the Sovereign Order of Malta and the USAID, such as clothing, sewing, secretarial work, particularly for women. We also organized sessions to prevent against depression of displaced women, and then literacy between men, women, and children. Additional activities which were developed were mainly welcoming and presence in the field, in the human field. So a daily meal was organized for our elderly people, Akibaruna, to make sure that they had at least one meal per week. So students helped to cook, to serve, and animated this session, you know, with dances, songs, little sketches. And these activities were organized with all of the classes of the, you know, the eldest students. They also prepared a hot meal, which was also served, and which was done particularly after the explosion in the port of Beirut. So the dispensary of the Union of Major Superiors in Lebanon has undertaken a very important medical and social program for 110 families in need, and which also concerned the welcoming of displaced Iraqis and Syrians, taking care of them, organizing activities in school, animating and doing some entertainment, giving them gifts. And it has been truly a very agreeable moment together. And they have, our students also visited and attended people who are living alone, the elderly in particular. There's also a project to basically renovate and do restructuring of houses for disadvantaged people. So there is both monetary fund, but also manual fund on the side, preparing a number of activities like films and other activities to do some fundraising in order to have sufficient funds to renovate the houses. They also prepared food boxes that were distributed once a month. One student, together with a number of students, organized an NGO called Med Donation. So basically, they distributed drugs to people, and they launched a call on the network for the diaspora, that is Lebanese worldwide, and together with their peers, they are now assisting 520 families, together with also food and not only drugs. It's a very important campaign which was launched among Catholic schools. No students outside the school due to the economic situation. And with the explosion of the port, Beirut, solidarity exploded. It was truly a catastrophe. 210 casualties, 7,000 hurt, 300,000 displaced, 70,000 people who lost their jobs. The only thing we could do was to express solidarity and to listen to the cry of people. They're suffering, to pray with them, to be in solidarity with them, to support them, help, and share what we had. Religious men and women, particularly social groups, parents, students, young people, they all attended to give a hand. They stopped eating, and they were basically helping to eliminate glasses. They have been sweeping, they have been cleaning, they were gathering whatever they could and to help out. Another activity is social inclusion. The so-called Blue Day, that is, people who had to don something in blue, and they were doing fundraising. They were basically collecting money to help, also accepting a difference. The same for students who have difficulties, which was held on April the 22nd. The program of social inclusion has been very much developed in our schools, because also following the call of the Pope, everyone has a right to study, in particular the most vulnerable. The 10th activity was basically an activity together with the Caritas president, Michel Aboud. They basically organized, animated, and served by the young. And on December the 2020, under the high patronage and the presence of Patriarch Rai, the youth Antonine basically thanked the movement of young Lebanese. And I would like to draw your attention on the fact that everything has been prepared using the glasses and the remains of the explosion of the port of Beirut. So in conclusion, besides everything, we are confident. We as Lebanese, we trust God and we trust in our friends around the world. The various different churches in Lebanon, congregations, NGOs remain in solidarity and coordinate their efforts to support the needy, which are growing in number. We believe that the life on our earth is an engagement before the Lord, an engagement for the good of our world, of the human, of the creation. We live in a healthy universe. Yes, for the inclusion of special need, educational needs, students, yes, to accept the difference, which is enriching, yes, for a planet where we can breathe hope, yes, for a world where justice, peace, love, and beauty prevail. I thank you and I entrust you to Our Lady of Lebanon, Harissa. And to conclude, together we're going to view a little.
No, sister. Thank you. We're not. Merci. We will use that video, which is wonderful, and we will put that with the videos of this presentation, so that others can enjoy it. It's a wonderful video with the children and what they are doing. And I really encourage us to have an opportunity to look at that video. It's very, very stimulating. Thank you, sister, so much for bringing us hope in what's going on in your area. And also for us to realize that this is happening in a place that we hear so much negative publicity about what's taking place. So thank you, sister, for your presentation. God bless you for that. Okay. And now I would like for Father Josh, our next speaker, who is prepared to talk to us about what is taking place in terms of the plan for the dicastery of integral human development and the plan of enrolling in the activities such as what Sister shared with us that's happening in Lebanon, to try to find a way that we as church can move forward together in a way that we can make a significant difference in the world today. So Father Josh, please share your presentation.
Thank you very much. And what a great joy to meet so many of you. So congratulations for organizing this webinar. And as I speak to you from the Vatican, please allow me to bring you best wishes, greetings, and prayers from our beloved Pope Francis. I've been asked to speak on the theme of the Laudato Si action platform, especially about its vision. I put in brackets that the vision is always connected to a mission. And the mission that we are going to talk today is about the 7-year plans. And now Laudato Si has this integral vision. It's Laudato Si 66 that says that human life is grounded in 3 fundamental and closely intertwined relationships with God, with our neighbor, and with the earth itself. It was so beautiful to listen to Sister Nasha and to see how Laudato Si is helping to heal the land of the beautiful Lebanon, to heal its people. And when we do that, we are really in relationship with God. And it's, as we said, it is a vision that calls us to action. And that is the theme of our webinar, how to realize the vision of Laudato Si and put this vision into action. Now, that is the reason why Pope Francis announced a special Laudato Si year and asked us to launch the 7-year plans. Now, my presentation will address 3 questions. Why? Why are we having the 7-year plans, the Laudato Si action platform? In what does the plan consist in? Most of us know, but very synthetically. And most importantly, how we can realize that, So these are the 3 questions. Why? Sister Nasha explained so well, the cry of the earth. And the scientists, as Laudato Si, the first chapter, puts it, makes such a beautiful synthesis, this cry of the earth. And I would just like to concentrate on this, what the scientists right now are concerned about are about these tipping points that we are at the edge, on the verge, due to the climate crisis, deforestation, droughts and floods and hurricanes. Here on the top, we have the example of the Greenland ice sheet. Now, the Greenland is already melting. And imagine if the entire Greenland were to melt, sea level will rise by 6 to 7 meters around the world. And by the end of the century, we are expecting something like 1 meter. Then we have the Amazon rainforest, which is already 25% deforested. Scientists told us at the last Amazon Synod, another 5 or 7%, and Amazon would be at a critical point. The monsoon rains in Africa, the Indian summer months, the coral reefs. And this September, the most important scientific journal, Nature, had this cover page. It's about the West Antarctic ice sheet, the southern pole. I remember as a student, when we studied these things 25 years ago, we thought Antarctica was stable. Now scientists are saying even the Antarctic, especially the West Antarctic ice sheet, is becoming unstable. So the cry of the earth is getting louder. And the cry of the poor. Now, as we know, this must be from Bangladesh, especially the poor countries suffering, paying the disproportionate price for the ecological crisis. And this is our world, a divided world. We don't live in one home. We don't live as a family. Even today, something like over 820 million people, and with the COVID, another 130 million people will not have even today a single meal a day, So the cry of the poor, and these days we are speaking about the vaccine. A couple of days ago, a study came out saying that more than half the vaccines have been bought up by 10% of humanity. So the poor are left out. So the cry of the earth and the cry of the poor. And this is what the COVID is highlighting, that if the planet is not healthy, we cannot be healthy. And as usual, those who are hit worst are the poor. And the third cry is the cry of the children. Allow me to emphasize this. This is the reason we need to work on the Laudato action platform, because our children are telling us there is no time. They are quoting this is the scientific report that came out in 2018 that said to remain at 1.5 degrees centigrade, we have something like a decade by 2030 maximum. Allow me to say something on the 1.5 degrees centigrade. Last 11,000 years, Earth's average temperature did not vary more than 1 degree. And from 1850, the temperature has risen by 1.1, 1.2 degrees. I will show you in the next slide. And we are seeing the hurricanes and the floods and the droughts. And scientists are telling us, please be careful. If you go beyond 1.5, it's going to be disastrous. And as things stand now, by the end of the century, we are walking towards a hothouse Earth, where in many places, it will be unlivable. We will have millions of refugees and migrants. So this is the first reason that Pope Francis announced in the why. That situation is critical. This is the motivation. The plan, we have the Laudato Si year, but then the cream of the entire Laudato Si year is the Laudato Si action platform. And the objective is to make communities around the world totally sustainable in the spirit of the integral ecology of Laudato Si. Now, the second question, what is this plan? I'm sure you have reflected over it. Just put it very synthetically. It is a 7-year journey. And to this journey, we would like to invite everyone, beginning with families, parishes, dioceses, educational institutions, so schools, universities, technical schools, everyone, hospitals and healthcare centers, economy, organizations, religious orders, and beginning with communities, provinces, and congregations. And with Sister Sheila, we often say religious cover all the 7 areas, because we work with families, we work in schools, we work in hospitals, we work in farms and with businesses, we are into movements and communication centers. So religious orders are so crucial. And I should acknowledge that after we began the journey, the leadership was given by the religious, and we are so very grateful to you. And we think it's also part of our prophetic vocation. The first part I spoke about, the why are we calling for the Laudato Si action platform? Because time is running out. The children, the poor are crying out. So we, in response to our prophetic charism, in our own charisms, we need to respond to. Again, we are proposing in the vision of the integral ecology of Laudato Si. So we are proposing the 7 goals. I'm sure you know the goals in detail. Here again, just to sum up, these are the 7 goals. That we respond to the cry of the earth, so that we use renewable energy, we spare water, we promote, it's so nice to see children planting trees, and we need to promote biodiversity. Then we respond to the cry of the poor. In all this, we put the poor at the center, as Pope Francis is teaching us, both through his words and especially through his actions, that in all this, the poor at the center, that we change our economic paradigm, where we invest our money. We should divest from fossil fuels that are destroying our planet. And as religious, we have no moral stance to keep on investing in fossil fuel companies, or in the brochure of the Laudato Si, the action platform, we put in any activity that harms the planet and the people, like, producing weapons, or all these are the same level. So we need to divest. That we promote simple lifestyles in our own communities. Then the two pillars of education, that we rework on our educational curricula, and especially in our schools, in our universities. I think of the Georgetown University, that after Laudato Si, reworked on the entire curricula, even of the engineering faculty or medicine faculty. This is what we need to do. Then the spirituality, that we pray with creation, that, we also in our catechesis, education to faith, Laudato Si comes in. It's so important. And the seventh goal is what binds all the other seven together, that we do it as a community. It's so important, because we live in a world where the individual is at the center, we say we, community, as fratelli tutti, that we are all sisters and brothers, So all that, since we put purposely families, schools, universities, communities, that we do it all together. And Sister Sheila mentioned, we have formed a Laudato Si Action Platform Steering Committee. And we have the religious, Sister Sheila, Brother Alberto, Father Xavier, and so many others. Then we have the GCCM, especially young people, and Rabbi is going to speak right after me. And they are giving us so much of help in rolling it out. Then we have the Caritas Internationalis, and we work very much, and they are around the world. We are with SIDSE, the Catholic NGOs, and we are also bringing in young people, leaders into it. And so we are working with very many people. And the idea is that we do it together. And that's the third question I want to go to. How do we do it? We do it together in partnership. And allow me to quote Pope Francis' own words. He says, "We are aware that the cries of the earth and of the poor have become even louder," what I said in the first point, and more painful in recent years. At the same time, and this is the element of hope, and you created this beautiful program, Serving Seeds of Hope. And we need to be, prophets of hope. And it's not, empty hope. Because Pope Francis says, we also witness how the Holy Spirit, so it's God's work, is inspiring individuals and communities around the world to come together. So all this we do it together to rebuild our common home. We are a common family. And always Pope Francis adds this, and defend the most vulnerable in our midst. So this is a strategy in partnership, if I can say in one word. We see the gradual emergence of a great mobilization of people from below and from the peripheries. And I always say, if it is from below, it is from the peripheries, it is a signature of God's work. It's not heads of states or big corporations moving. It's from below, and it's from around the world, from the peripheries. And that's what's happening. Who are generously working for the protection of the land and of the poor. So this is a partnership model. So a couple of minutes and I'm done, Sister Sheila, also to keep to the timings. So what we are proposing is that We begin in 2021 with the first group. So as many families, as many schools, universities, hospitals, and especially our religious communities. And we think, and we are convinced, and it's happening. Religious are taking the lead. We need to be the first people. So we are inviting all these groups to begin a 7-year journey, but that doesn't stop there. The idea is the year after, we want to invite a new group of communities, schools, and it should be the double of the first group. So if we had 2,000 schools in the first year, in 2022, we should have 4,000 schools. Then we should have 8,000 schools. Now, why all this? That's the second paragraph. In this way, we are planning to grow a Laudato-Si-inspired network, this partnership, that continues to expand and grow exponentially each year. Because the challenge is so huge. We just have a decade. So we need to work together and grow exponentially. And this will continue for each of the coming years of the new decade. In this way, we hope to arrive at a critical mass. Now, this is the key word. Because unless we have the critical mass, transformation won't happen. Now, the good news is that the critical mass is not a big number. Gandhi, how he gained independence for India was by creating the critical mass. That's what Nelson Mandela did. That's how women got voting power in the US. And most recently, that's how the Berlin Wall came down. Now, the good news, I say, is the critical mass, sociologists tell us, is 3.5% of a group. So, we are over 7 billion. If you have something like 300 million people, we can have the critical mass. And we had 2 meetings with a group of women. There are 8 million women. And we said if each woman gets 10 more people into it, we are 80 million people in a decade, So we can make it. But allow me to add this. For the society to change, the same sociologists tell us, we need something like 21 to 25%. But that will happen. Once the critical mass is there, the transformation revolution takes place in the positive sense. And we can reach the societal transformation. So this is the good news that we want to share. Let us really create the critical mass. And we hope to make this journey. And the first year, we want the church to wake up. And I think in the religious, we need to ring the bells loud and clear that the church wakes up, and our own communities. Then we want to make it also ecumenical, hopefully, and the Holy Spirit will do that. Today at 4 o'clock, I'm on another webinar with ecumenical partners. It's a week of prayer for Christian unity. So, and we hope to make it interreligious, Why not? We can all come together. And that's how we will reach this journey. So just want to conclude, to saying thank you to Pope Francis, who gifted us Laudato Si, and who after 5 years after the publication of Laudato Si told us, now, come on, wake up, put Laudato Si into practice. And that's the reason we created the 7-year action platform. And I can only say thank you. Thank you to the religious, and because you have given us great collaboration. We did so many webinars with you, and I always say you are the champions, and I don't say to flattery. I also say to other groups, So thank you for all the great work done, and we count very much on you. We are working with you on the steering board with the COVID-19 Commission, and it's so nice that Dicastery is working with the religious so closely. And continue to count on us. We want to walk together with you. And we think Pope Francis can be the Gandhi, can be the Nelson Mandela, the Martin Luther King, who can inspire this transformation, this journey in which we walk together to take care of our planet, our own common home, and especially the weakest amongst us. So thank you very much for joining us. And let us continue to walk together. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you, Father Josh, for again updating us on the development of this rollout plan and how we have been really working together to integrate the different gifts and charisms of the different groups. But your leadership has been challenged to try to pull us all together and to continue to give us hope and give us a sense of direction. And you have a reputation for this, starting with the book that you wrote in terms of the 10 Green Commandments. Little did you realize then that that would continue to inspire your efforts and our efforts as well. So thank you again for your tireless energy and for moving us forward in ways that really matter. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you. Now, I'd like to refer to the next person who will be our speaker is Reba. Let's see, I would like to show her. There she is. She's the Director of Strategic Communications and Special Projects for the Global Catholic Climate Movement. So it's really a big challenge. And her responsibility is to try to weave together these different groups, these 7 groups, in a way that honors the individual gifts of the groups, but also enables us to collaborate with one another. So the whole social media direction and integration is the responsibility of Reba. So she's going to share some of this organizing and coordination that she has been doing through GCCM efforts, and how this is very helpful then to the Ladatosi platform. So Rita, please, we would like to see you share with us what you've been doing.
Thank you, Sister Sheila. Thank you so much. And thank you to Father Amato and to Sister Nadja and to Father Jostrom for those beautiful presentations. And thanks to everyone for being here. I think we have something like 400 people from all around the world in this conversation, which is so beautiful. So yeah, just thanks to everyone for making this moment of communion possible. In a completely accidental, but at the same time, hopefully really inspired way, I would like to pick up right where Father Josh left off with this idea that the Ladatosi Action Platform is a way of bringing us together in community. Just like this wave is composed of millions and millions and millions of water drops, each of which has its own purpose and dignity and beauty, and together come together for something much greater. The vision of this Laudato Si Action Platform, as Father Josh mentioned, is to honor what each of us is already doing in our own ways, but at the same time to unite us in something that's really transformative and powerful. So as Father Josh mentioned, the idea is that Laudato Si Action Platform would serve these different sectors, these different communities all around the world. And I'd like to dive just for a moment into the sector of the religious. So I work at an organization called Global Catholic Climate Movement. And I was going back and looking through some of our old photos. And I found that the most exciting photos often had a man or woman religious taking part. So these are some events. The one on the farthest left is an Earth Day event in the United States. The one in the middle was an event for the season of creation. That declaration that Father Josh just shared was Pope Francis' message for the season of creation last year, I think. And I think this event may have taken place on the very same day that Pope Francis released that statement. This was a march in Trinidad and Tobago for the season of creation. And on the far right is an event that was in World Youth Day in Panama. And I think that what's really, really nice about all of these events, and of course they're beautiful pictures, but I think that they show that there's a real history of leadership here. And of course, sowing hope for the planet has been so helpful in uniting that leadership and giving it kind of a concrete voice and expression. And hopefully Ladatosi Action Platform would be a way to continue building on that history of leadership and providing opportunities not only for concrete actions and resources to kind of learn what to do, but also to connect together. If I were to have seen just one of these pictures, I would think that's very exciting, but seeing them all together kind of tells a little bit of a different story. And that sense of unity and leadership and kind of drawing on what's already there and bringing it together is very much kind of at the heart of the Laudato Si Action Platform. These events, these actions, these things that bring us together, like on this call, can result in really deep relationships. So one of my colleagues a few weeks ago was celebrating the birthday of this man here in the purple shirt here on the right, Brother Ben Ayodi. And so my colleague shared this photo from nearly 10 years ago at a summit in Rio de Janeiro, where a group of people that got together for environmental protection at the UN level. We have Brother Ben here, my colleague Igor Bastos here, who was at that time a member of the Franciscan Youth. We have Sister Sheila here on the right. And it's just so wonderful that these relationships that we're able to build with each other through taking action, through all of us collaborating together on something that's meaningful to all of us, not only help address the challenges, the very deep challenges that Father Josh explained, this crisis that threatens us and all of the people and places that we care about. These actions that we take together not only help address that crisis, but also nourish us and deepen us on a spiritual level as human beings in relationship with each other. So hopefully the Laudato Si Action Platform will be a place to create these spaces of encounter where we can come together for a greater purpose and for an even greater purpose, which is fulfilling our identity as brothers and sisters in God. The vision is to return to that kind of big vision that communities, religious families, parishes, and dioceses, all the things that Father Josh mentioned, that communities around the world would take part. Men and women religious have been such leaders on this issue. And the hope is that actions that are as exciting as the ones, for example, that Sister Nadja mentioned, would be encouraged in every sector, whoever we are and wherever we find ourselves. There's this statement of Pope Francis that facts are more important than ideas, that realities are more important than ideas. And the needs of a religious community in, for example, Lebanon or Iraq would be very different from the needs of a religious community in the United States, where I'm from, or from needs of a community in the Amazon. And so as we come together in this big global family, it's also important to acknowledge the local context that each of us is dealing with. Whether that is political corruption, whether it is different needs in sustainability. Some people have, for example, if we talk about reducing greenhouse gas emissions, some people have electricity coming out of their walls. Some people have generators. even thinking about local culture, the way that people interact with each other and the expectations that they have of their relationships. It's really, really important that the Ladatosi Action Platform acknowledge those local realities and that it provide resources and tools and suggestions and help and ways of interacting that are appropriate for the reality of each participant. And again here, the Sowing Hope for the Planet process has been so helpful in identifying the needs and commitments of constellations and of constituents in those constellations. So there's a fantastic base to build on. And hopefully Ladatosi Action Platform will take that same spirit of individuation and unity and continue to grow in that direction. The dicastery for promoting integral human development and Father Josh in particular as the leader of this project has been so clear about this bottom-up approach. As Father Josh said just now, the things that come from within our church family, that come from the constituents, come from the bottom, are where God is moving. And that bottom-up approach has been so important as we've thought about the Ladatosi Action Platform. And uniting all of those pieces, all of those unique realities into one common framework. So we have here this rose window. I don't know where it's from. I can't remember, maybe Notre Dame. But the idea is that all of these pieces come together like this rose window or like the wave to create something that is greater than the sum of its parts. So thank you again to Sister Sheila. Thanks again to Father Amato and to Sister Naja and to Father Augusto for everything and for everyone else for being here.
Thank you, Reba, for moving us through the developments that have been taking place, both from an attitude, which is so important, and the importance of us trying to bond together in a way that will make a difference. And you are very involved in many of the details, and much of this will be forthcoming and shared, although you had just mentioned about a platform, about resources, about how we're going to be connecting with one another. And this will be coming out later on in the month of February. But I think what you shared is the importance is that we're really trying to work together, that this is an evolving process and we're making the path by walking, and that your ability to work with various groups to be able to report back what you're hearing in a way that helps unite us and feel that we're moving ahead on the journey. So we thank you for being able to share all of those skills with us as we move forward in this really very important endeavor of the Laudato Action Plan and the rollout plan. So thank you again, Reba. Now I'd like to have our speaker that's going to try to help us make some connections with this in terms of our own religious life. And you've heard him speak before, and he continues to bring us forward in a way that we can begin to see the steps that we are making by walking this path. And he comes with 18 years experience working in transactional actions. So these are transformative. And so we're looking at the steps that we need to take to move us forward. And that's our brother, Alberto Parisi. He's a Cambodian missionary. And he continues to be actually excited and delighted at being able to develop this platform for us in a particular way that honors the gifts of the religious, but a way that also helps us to integrate and contribute and to receive the gifts from one another. So, Brother Alberto, would you please share with us where we're going in terms of the action plan and how awareness raising is really a key factor in all of this as we try to move forward, and we are finding ways to do this together. So, Brother Alberto, please.
Thank you very much, Sheila. I'm trying to share my screen. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, so then I can get started. This afternoon, Sister Nasa shared with us about a concrete experience of the commitment of the religious to Laudato Si. And we saw that really in the spirit of integral ecology. That means, yes, there is an environmental dimension, but there is also a social dimension, an educative dimension, and an economic dimension, and so forth. And we have perceived the richness of their journey and how much diverse experiences can be around the world. Definitely, the journey unfolds as we walk it, and it can take different shapes. As also Riba said, context matters a lot. Then we have heard Father Josh, and he presented the overall framework for the Laudato Si action platform. The urgency to bring about systemic change, and therefore the need to have a common plan and a critical mass. The whole Catholic Church is called to undertake the journey towards integral ecology in the spirit of Laudato Si, and the religious have been identified as one of the 7 sectors that can give a significant contribution to such transformation. Now, when about a year ago, the dicastery presented this initiative of the Laudato Si action platform, we religious, especially the Justice and Peace coordinators who meet and interact in Rome, started asking ourselves what practically it would entail for religious communities and congregations. And today, I'm going to present how far we have reached with our reflection. Now, we are working at a support system to the commitment of religious communities based on 3 elements, and we see them here. We have, first of all, a frame of reference, what Father Josh presented. This is the Laudato Si action platform. Then we have a process of involvement of the religious, which it comprises 3 elements, and I'm about to speak to present them in a minute. And then, there is also an issue of practical tools, what also Riba mentioned, and where also the Catholic, the global Catholic climate movement is going to give a contribution. And these are how to do guides in case community do not already have their own toolbox or would like to acquire new instruments to support their commitment. So I mentioned that the process is made of 3 components. Now, in consideration of the diversity of situations, charisms, and contexts, we feel that communion and a common plan are possible at the level of a broad, essential, and shared process, able to accommodate different ways, styles, and plans to implement it. For example, there are congregations that start with the community level, others at the provincial level, or at the institute level. Others organize themselves at the level even of charismatic family, that is modeling the journey for various institutes that partake in the same charism. And again, there are some who have started with a systematic assessment of their situation in relation to integral ecology, but others prefer to start with a formation program at community level. Others, again, saw it convenient to start with a training of trainers who would then animate the local communities. So definitely there are multiple ways of doing it. Now, the common commitment of religious communities to integral ecology, therefore, envisages these three shared components, which can apply to all the different various approaches. And these three elements, as you see there in the graphics, are a public commitment, and this has to do with the commitment of the religious community, for example, to complete the transition to integral ecology within 7 years. This could be done through a public declaration, such as a manifesto or a covenant, as various communities have already done.
Oh, we lost the sound. Alberto, your microphone went off. Thank you. You need to put it back on again. You know, your microphone went off. Can you put it back on?
Unmute. Oh, sorry for that. Okay,
you're fine now. Thank you.
Yes, sorry for the inconvenience. So as I was saying, okay, the first element is making a public commitment, and we are also going to avail some possible templates to facilitate communities and congregations, which would, in any case, personalize it, you know, according to their charism, situation, and so forth. And secondly, the community or institute could be expected to incorporate the plan for her transition into her, for example, community project or strategic plan or 6 years plan or whatever grand, planning the institutes or congregations do. For example, all religious communities have their own way of implementing an annual project involving both community life and ministries. We suggest that the plan for the transition to integral ecology should not necessarily be another additional commitment to the ordinary community project. Rather, the ordinary community project could consider the annual goals for ecologic transition. And the third component has to do with journeying together, because we said it's really important to be one, to have this communion, to build a critical mass. And this aspect of the process is crucial for having social impact and so contributing to systemic change. For instance, communities can participate in global campaigns for integral ecology, such as divesting from fossil fuels or banning plastic packaging, as well as the basic idea of voting with your wallet. That is putting pressure as consumers on companies that do not meet standards of human and social rights, and also environmental protection. all of which are very effective if done collectively. So these are kind of three pillars which make up the broad shared process. And now we come to the very practical aspects. How can we support the practical involvement of religious congregations into the Laudato Si action platform? We are setting up a portal based on Thinkific, which is a software used for educational programs, which will work as an orientation and a source to facilitate practical involvement. Okay, I'm on a different slide now. So sorry, before that, as congregation, we joined the Laudato Si action platform from different points along the journey. Some have actually already started some years back. Others may be starting right now. So there are local small-size institutes, but there are also international large ones. And as we understand, all these realities are experiencing different situations and challenges. They may, that may lead them to focus on different issues and choose different approaches. So this variety of situation. Also, they have different charisms and their practices can vary a lot because of all these differences. All that may lead religious communities and congregations to develop customized objectives and plans. But whatever their approach and practices, there is a level that they can all share in, namely the overall process. And as we have seen, the process is simple and revolves around these three elements: making a public commitment, making the transition to integral ecology, and journeying together. And so practically, as I just mentioned before, we are setting up a portal based on Thinkific software. And by accessing this portal, you can get an orientation to the program, an orientation that will guide you step by step on how you can join the program, but also, and first and foremost, how you can directly contribute to shaping it. And so when you will access this portal, you will find yourself in a page giving you the orientation to the program. And first of all, you will get, and basically you find 4 items on the home page. The first one will give you a welcome to the Laudato Si action platform. And this section explains how to use the portal. Then you have a section named Promote Laudato Si action platform within your congregation and beyond. You see, there is a need, as I am speaking right now, to disseminate information and raise awareness about the Laudato Si action platform among the religious. And this section provides the opportunity to collaborate in such exercise of awareness raising worldwide. It is a crucial task, the very priority at this moment, because most of the religious are still unaware of this invitation to join the Laudato Si action platform. And we have heard this morning how important it is to mobilize a critical mass. Then the third step is the possibility to contribute to the development, to shaping the action platform. This is because there is also an urgent need to develop the guides, the toolkits, and the practical resources that the religious may need to shape and support their commitment to integral ecology. And this section, as I mentioned, will enable you to share your resources, what you are already using, you know, your good practices and your toolkits and so forth, but also to contribute to the design of ad hoc toolkits and guides. And finally, you know, there is the guide to join the Ladatosi action platform. As we said, some communities may already be advanced in their journey towards integral ecology, but others may need help to get started, may need some orientation, may need some guidance. And this section is aimed at offering a step-by-step guidance on how to develop a customized action plan and access practical tools to implement it. So now we want to see in detail, you know, these four sections. So the first one, welcome to the Laudato Si action platform. Here you will find a first section about the process involving religious congregation. Then you will move to an explanation about the common broad framework. And then you will find the invitation to contribute actively to the development of the platform. That is what you find, you know, step by step in the first section. Then the second section will guide you through how you can promote the Laudato Si action platform within your congregation, but also beyond. So here you will find, first of all, the overall guidance for promoting the Laudato Si action platform. Then you will access, you can watch a video. It is available in English and Spanish that will show you how you can present, you know, this initiative to your community or your province, your institute, or even to other institutes. So it will model for you how to do that, the presentation itself. And then you can download the slideshow and the text of that presentation, so that really you will have all it takes to do it yourself, on, you know, for the benefit of others. Then you can also access, you know, a form where you can enroll and make yourself available for presenting this PowerPoint presentation that you have downloaded. Or you may even avail yourself to translate the presentation in other languages. Now, we already have it in 5 languages that are English, Spanish, French, Italian, and Portuguese. But starting with those languages, you can still translate it in other languages and then upload it on the very same platform, so that you know, other communities, other congregations may be able to access it. And then you will also have the possibility of sharing your experience, sharing what you have done. And that is also very important, because out of that chat room or dialogue room, you know, or space, many other peoples will come to know about what you have done or about what you are planning to do, and they can join in those initiatives or borrow from them. And finally, you will also find, you know, the launch of the prayer campaign for Laudato Si action platform. Then the next section is about how to contribute to the development of Laudato Si action platform. And here you will find the guidance for contributing for giving shape to the platform. And in particular, you will have the possibility to contribute toolkits or even guidance and other resources for each one of the 3 pillars that we said make up, the shared journey, the common journey, which are public commitment, the transition to integral ecology, and then journey together. And finally, you will find the guide, and we are working on this right now, the guide to join the Laudato Si action platform. And also here you will find an introduction, then an explanation of Laudato Si and the vision of integral ecology, the 7 Laudato Si goals for integral ecology, which Father Josh presented before. Then a guide to the community or institute process towards integral ecology, which needs to be systematic. And then developing your action plan for integral ecology. So if you are looking for some ideas or possible ways of doing it, you will find your answers here. And then we will also avail a monitoring and evaluation tool so that you can actually you can measure your progress, and you can also give evidence for the progress that you have done. And that is very important because it's not just a matter of accountability towards yourself and also towards the people, the public, because you would have already made a public commitment. But also it is a way of doing advocacy, a way of influencing, other people and enticing them to join, in the journey. And finally, you will find links to various resources. So yeah, that's the what we are working on. And as Sheila, I'm sure will eventually invite you, we are going to offer a training on February the 5th, precisely on how to access and use and contribute to this platform based on Thinkific. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brother Alberto, for your tremendous work in trying to put together a structure that will help us move together, a structure that we will share with the other groups as we continue to be in dialogue with how we are emerging, going forward with this process, and that we want to honor in a way that really helps groups feel that they are already on the journey. The important part is that we are moving together, and you've given us a systematic way, and we have a platform, and that we will begin to work with that, particularly with the awareness building. And we'll talk more about that, as well, as we begin to say to the others, are there any questions at this point about anything that has been said? We want to make sure that we have an opportunity to do that, because we really have shared a lot at this time with you, beginning certainly with Sister Naza showing us the tremendous work as what's happening there in Lebanon is an example of what already is being done, that we want to bring together and network and say, we're at this critical mass, we're moving in this critical mass. Father Josh was given the overall vision and bringing all 7 groups to the table, which is important. We're talking together and moving ahead together. Many of us have been at different stages, but we are there talking with one another, and the challenge that Reba has to try to pull us all together. So that's really, really important. So let's begin then with some questions. Can we have those, please, as we move forward? Okay, the first question is, as brother Alberto keep slipping on that. He's very, very kind, though. I think that's what I understand in the fatherly kind of position. Anyway, we will begin on February 5th with the program. It's going, advertise that again. It's going to be 2 to 4. We'll begin with the introduction and the stages of helping people become really animators, promoters of this platform with one another, and giving you some tools that you'll be able to access and begin sharing. Because as you can see, we have to bring along a number of people in a way that we feel we're moving together. And in the process, though, with the major platform that is being developed with REBA, there'll be other resources as well as our own, and we will be sharing those as well. So February 5th is an important date for us to begin in a systematic way a formation process. Okay. Other questions here? Who answered that one? Let's see. This is an important question, is what will be the common objectives that we are committing to each of the seven journeys? And you know, that's an important question, and that's the one we're still discussing, is how can we be stimulating? How can we set measurements for ourselves and still be respectful of the different experiences that are happening around the globe? That's which is happening in the North, and that's what's happening in the South. So what we're trying to do is to really listen to those experiences and then determine in this process of what it is that would be measurable, and what is that we are trying to pull together to be accomplished. And advocacy has a lot to do with that. Questions here? Alberto, certainly thank you for that presentation. Any other questions? Sister, okay, I'm gonna, Alberto, you want to answer a few of these? Alberto, you see these? You want to answer?
No, I don't see. Let me see. When will be the action plan? The initial. How will the initial congregations be selected in the first year to begin the 7-year journey? Well, actually, we are still in the phase of organizing for that, but at the moment, maybe Father Josh can better answer that.
Yeah, I think so too. Father Josh, are you still on the webinar?
Yeah, very much.
Okay, please, this is yours.
Yeah. I would say 3 things, you know, in response. First is people are rightly asking, where can we enroll ourselves? So there is an overall Laudato Si action platform website being prepared, and in 9 languages, thanks to REBA and GCCM and the steering board. So that is being set up, and by mid-February, we should have at least a preliminary version. So there is a place where you can enroll after one has gone through the process that Brother Alberto mentioned. So the first thing is, there will be a website that unites all the 7 sectors where people can enroll, they can find resources. The second thing is about the 7-year journey. Now, the way we are visualizing is the first year will go for planning once you make a public commitment. You know, you can plan out the process, find resources, you know, even financial, and we will be with you very much. So the first year will go for that. Then the coming 5 years will be the years of action. And it's easy to measure, like if you want to use renewable energy, at least 20% per year, or, you know, like on any of the fronts. Then the 7th year, allow me to say this, when we presented the Laudato Si action platform, a rabbi from Amsterdam, he said, don't work during the 7th year. Keep it as a sabbatical year to give praise and thanks to God. So this is how the 7 years are structured. The third thing, I want to assure you that in all this process, once a community makes a public commitment, enrolls, you will be accompanied. You know, we will walk with you. Because in each of the 7 areas, we are having already leaders, and we have something like over 100 partners who are part of this leadership. You know, so for the religious, Sister Sheila and Brother Alberto and Father Xavier and few more people are coming, and they are already working on it. For the families, we are the Focolare and many others. For the schools, the Don Bosco Green Alliance and many others. For the universities, the Jesuits, along with others. For the hospitals, the Mercy Sisters, we are trying to contact, beginning a dialogue with CHAI in India, Catholic Health Association of India, or other the Doctors for Africa, for the hospitals, then for the businesses, the economy of Francesco and other people, and the groups. And so in each of the 7 sectors, there is a core group of leaders, and there's a working group, just like, you know, Sister Sheila and Alberto, and they're trying to do for you. So for the schools, this group will accompany you. So once you express your desire, we are there to walk with you, especially the first year, helping you. And as I said, the website is in different languages, even Swahili, and so, and we hope to have more languages as we proceed. We want the critical mass and the bottom-up approach. So, and this is the final thing I want to assure you. Once you enter, you begin the journey, there is a huge network already being formed. And the website will be a great resource where you can find tools, and Alberto is already doing it for the religious, but also for the other sectors there will be. So this is an overall picture. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Father Josh, you know, for helping it. You really expand our understanding of this. Reba, did you want to comment on this as well in terms of where we're going with this platform?
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe just to echo what has already been said, on a few of maybe the more technical questions. So as Father Josh said, a very preliminary version of the website will be launched in Lent. And that will have just kind of basic resources in an interest form if you'd like to be kind of kept in the loop. And the URL, I think someone was asking about that, is Laudatosi platform.org in each language. So plataforma laudatosi.org in Spanish, and so on in French and Italian and Portuguese and all the other languages. That will be by the 1st of Lent. So I think it's 17 February, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it is.
And then another kind of version, a kind of more complete version in the conclusion of the Ladatosi anniversary year that has been so important to so many of us. This year of really focusing ourselves. So that's 24 May, is that kind of second more tools. And probably, as Father Josh has said so much, this is an evolving process. And I think Sister Sheila and Brother Alberto were making the path as we walk it. So later in this year, maybe around the season of creation, there would be a kind of another version of this tool would be launched online. And then hopefully early 2022, an offline version. I hope that those technical details help.
Any other, there are some questions in terms of availability of this. As we're saying, we're making this path by walking. As you hear responses both from Reba and from Father Josh and from Alberto, you can see that we're moving along and sharing our information. What's exciting is that all 7 groups are represented, and we're working together as a church with our connections, helping each other move along for this critical mass. which is really, really, really important for change. And then using the example from the constellations, certainly with this Sister Naza saying, oh, look at what we're doing, and trying to find ways to say, oh, that's an example. Can we learn from them and carry that forward? Yes, the materials this is recorded, available to UISG. Also on the Sowing Hope for the Planet, which is supported by UISG and involving the USG. And the platform that we're talking about that Brother Alberto spoke about, we're launching that on February the 5th. So we're putting these materials together, gathering them from one another. And someone else asked, well, I mean, and we're trying to honor the different levels of where people are involved and honor the work that they're doing, you know, and as an example for something like the carbon footprint, you know, honoring, you know, what sacrifices, quotes, it may be being done in the North, but what, you know, what's happening in the South, they're not even contributing in some areas. So why can't we pull that together and say, you know, thank you for what you're doing. And so what we've been trying to do with these webinars is for you to see that it's not something from the top down or something that we've been dreaming. It's about how can we work together. So you're involved in a process that's still becoming formed. But you can see that a lot of thought has gone into that, you know, on our way moving forward. And so that's why we wanted to have you ask some questions, because now you're seeing actually there's some structure being put in place to help us move forward with this. Okay, any other questions? From the Holy Land, thanks Sister Naza for the wonderful work. Yes, because it's such a bright spot. And I have to say, that video that she has, is just a short video, but it's a powerful video about what they're doing there. And it may be, if Sister's still on, in the last, before we close, we may be able, I think we'll be able to see that as a wonderful parting message of what's being done in Lebanon. So I hope Sister is still there and can find that video and make it available as a way of closing this session, which would be wonderful. I just want to give just some information about the 5th of February. And it's, if I can move this, and read in the chats, the Laudato Action Platform Framework for Religious. The 3 areas that Alberto has spoken clearly about: the public commitment, the transition to an inter-ecology, and journeying together through networking. Key for this platform. And these are the same we will be sharing with the other groups. And it's about, this first phase is promote Laudato Si in your congregation. And the Think of It platform, and we're preparing this first session, which is February the 5th, from 2 to 4. In these 4 languages, materials will be available in those 4 languages. And we're using the registration from the JPIC-Roma.org, which is the organization, of course, the secretariat that I work with. You know, our responsibility is for JPIC, for our religious congregations. We have to say that there was some technical difficulty, so we need to have people re-register for this event. What the registration then allows us to do is then transfer information to Thinkific and then invite you into that platform. So that's very important. And this is the announcement that has been going out. The Laudato Si training course, promoting Laudato Si in your congregations, coming forth in February the 5th from 2 to 4. And it's, the links are there available for you to register in one of the 4 languages. So again, it's a way of organizing what's being done for us to reflect and to know that it's something that is being involved from the bottom up. So that's very, very important. So that's part of that plan. And is Sister Naza still on our webinar? Is she still with us? Is she is? Can we get Sister Naza?
Yes, she's there.
All right.
She has to unmute herself.
Sister, please unmute yourself, and this is going to be our wonderful send-off.
Voilà.
Wonderful send-off, please, with your children giving us the way forward. Can you do that for us now?
Est-ce qu'elle est partie?
Non, Sœur
Oui.
Nazha, il faudrait s'il vous plaît.
مشيها من عندك، مشيها من عندك،
أنا
يمكن
ما
غلطت.
عندي Sœur Nazha, excuse-moi. Il faudrait seulement lancer le vidéo et ensuite partager l'écran. Voilà. Je coupe le partage maintenant. C'est à vous de lancer le vidéo. Et
This is just a technical. First, you have to.
Oh, put the sounds. Make sure the sound is there.
N'oubliez pas la.
Sœur Nazha, tu partages le folder du vidéo. Il faudrait partager le vidéo en lui-même.
Alors, cher. لا روقي تلبكت.
مش مشكلة مسار. لأنه أول شيء لازم تمشي الفيديو. بعدين لما
مشي الفيديو لحاله. أنا كنت بمشي غير شيء.
نو بدك تمشي الفيديو. وقت تمشي تعملي
It's a beautiful conversation in a local language in Arabic.
She speaks Arabic. This is interesting. We're speaking Arabic here
because they're both from Lebanon, so it's wonderful to listen.
Okay, we want to see this.
We're just sorry we're not translating.
That's okay.
I think it's just some technical support for her to be able to start the video. I think she's struggling a little bit. Sister Sheila, do you have the video? Because maybe she's struggling with the sharing.
I do. Let me.
Could you share yours from your screen?
Let me do something here to exit this and
oui, je vais fermer parce que j'ai tout ouvert.
Let me go back over.
D'accord, merci.
Okay. What I want to do is go to my. No, I need to go here.
C'est uniquement 3 minutes.
It's only 3 minutes long.
Yeah, it's we will. I want to get this here. Hold on, just give me just 1 minute, and I will have it for you. Let's see. Here we go. Shoot, I don't have it.
Je peux vous expliquer un peu ce que c'est? Vous mettre au courant pour ne pas perdre le temps?
Can I, in the meantime, while you're doing that, can I explain something about the video?
Yes, please.
C'est la synthèse d'un travail.
It's the synthesis. It's the, let's say, the outcome of an entire section of all the schools, you know, from all the grades, from preschool, primary, secondary. And then it's basically the summary, the compendium of all the activities of the schools. So it is a pedagogical annual project, which is going to be shown on this video clip.
I need to be able to switch this. Okay.
It has been done by the students in the schools up in the mountains. So the Sisters of the Charity, Besançon is their headquarters in France. She's a very dynamic French sister. It's a very short clip, but it's incredibly powerful and really incredibly meaningful.
Can you hear it?
No, we can't. No, we can't hear it, sister.
Okay, wait a minute. Stop it. Hold on. Okay, now I need to, yeah, but I have to give it the sound. Okay, where's the sound? I have to give it sound. Here, you here. Okay. Yeah. Yes. No. No. Video settings. Okay. And is there a sound? I don't know. Okay, it doesn't audio. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't do it.
Sheila, did you mark audio when you share the screen?
No, that's what I'm
trying. Yeah, so stop
yeah.
sharing if you want to see it. I mean, if you.
Yeah, I'm trying to find that, and I'm having a hard time. So, well, I share the screen.
Down below.
Yeah, here it is. Oh, we got it. We got it. Yeah.
Okay. Now you can. I hope.
Okay, that's it. Thank you for your patience.
Il faut toujours
We always have to protect and make our
élément indispensable à la survie de la faune et la flore.
Absolutely fundamental to protect our wildlife and that may every living
Nous avons décidé de combattre la pollution de nos rivières et de nos mers, en s'engageant à devenir acteurs dans la lutte contre la pollution, sensibiliser les autres autant que la gestion durable nous invitons à contribuer à l'émergence citoyen pour une gestion durable et pour mieux comprendre les enjeux vivre son cycle. Nous pourrions peut-être mieux la comprendre. Nous avons décidé de devenir amis de la vie maritime et de la nature. Lutter contre tout genre de pollution et de surconsommation, en apprenant à trier, à recycler, en se demandant, en avons-nous se dire plutôt, la terre a besoin de nous, nous aussi. Et par agir, planter, sauver. Nous avons quitté les murs de nos classes pour nous réjouir de la nature, nous ressourcer par les classes vertes, parce que la nature nous offre de fêter en toute occasion, avec et par la nature. Nous avons jardiné en permaculture. Nous avons appris à utiliser les ressources naturelles, favoriser le développement d'écosystèmes autonomes et pérennes. Nous avons même proposé aux chefs de municipalité de mettre des compteurs d'eau aux villageois. Pour nous être utiles, en faire usage. Nous nous engageons ainsi pour devenir des éco-citoyens responsables.
Il sole, l'acqua e le montagne sono tutti attrezzati di Dio.
Une caresse de Dieu.
Thank you, Sister Naza, and thank you, all of your children. God bless you, and I hope the Pope comes and visits somewhere in your area. So, and thank you, all of you, and we hope many of you will join us as we begin then the training process